So I'm reading from Matthew chapter 15, and I noticed that the Pharisees and the scribes, they come all the way from Jerusalem pretty much to bust Jesus' chops. We've got him now. His disciples are not washing their hands before they eat. And so they question Jesus about this. Come all the way from Jerusalem to do that. And Jesus says, you know what? You set aside the commandment of God in order to carry out your tradition. You can read about it in Matthew chapter 15. But Peter asked him about this, and Jesus explains. He says, listen, he says, it's not what goes into your mouth that defiles you. It's what comes out of your mouth that defiles a person. And then Jesus gives a parable to explain this. And he says, if the blind lead the blind, both will fall into a pit. And then Peter said, can you explain the parable a little bit more to us? And I love this question of Jesus. He said, are you also still without understanding? You know, the scribes and the Pharisees came from Jerusalem because they were on a power trip. They were on a control trip. We've got to control these people. We've got to enforce our authority upon them. And that's exactly what I see happening in our nation. Well, I see it happening really among the church and the world. And I saw this picture and I thought you would like it. This is really what's happening. You've got a lot of panic and you've got a little bit of COVID. A lot of panic. I just heard that Nashville is tightening up their mask ordinance. Why? Because I was reading, have you heard? You probably haven't. The latest survival rates, I think they call it the IFR, the ratio for death is very insignificant. As a matter of fact, you might have saw in the paper an IFR of 0.14%. In other words, the head of the Health Emergencies Program at the WHO has basically confirmed that the fatality ratio of COVID is approximately the same as seasonal flu. So why all the masks? Why the 6-foot social distancing? Why we still locked down, etc.? Friends, it has nothing to do with COVID. Do you realize that? It's about power and it's about control. You say, well, Pastor, how can you say that? Well, because the Center for Disease Control recently released these statistics. If you're age 0 to 19, you have a 99.997% of surviving COVID. If you are the age of 20 to 49, you have a 99.98% of surviving COVID. If you're age 50 to 69, you have a 99.5% of surviving COVID. If you are over the age of 70, you have a 94.6% chance of surviving COVID. Friends, it's not about COVID. It's about control. It's about orchestrating a takeover of the United States. It's about, get this, it's about shutting down the churches. If you want to know where the root of all this lies, look at the fruit. Shut down the churches. And you know what? There are thousands of churches that are going right along with this. Listen, friends, we need to wake up and realize what is going on here. It's that question Jesus asked, are you also still without understanding? You know, one of the things that the Holy Spirit will give to us is wisdom. He is the Spirit of wisdom. He is the Spirit of understanding. He is the Spirit of revelation. May the Lord give us wisdom and understanding as to what's going on so that we will not cooperate with the devil's plan, but instead we'll walk in faith and not fear. God bless you.